Ladies and gentlemen, there come moments in life when we are brought to our knees, not by choice, but by some unseen necessity. The world grows dim, familiar paths disappear, and we feel cast adrift in a sea of uncertainty. In such moments, it is tempting to believe we are abandoned, forgotten, or cursed. But perhaps, just perhaps, these dark passages are not detours, but the beginning of a deeper, hidden journey. Let me share with you 5 inner truths, 5 keynotes, that illuminate the path when all seems lost. There comes a time in almost every life when the structures we've built, our beliefs, identities, roles, and ambitions, begin to fracture. What once seemed solid now crumbles like sand through our fingers. Perhaps it is the end of a relationship that once defined us, the failure of a long, pursued dream, or a loss that seems to strip the world of its meaning. Whatever the cause, the result is the same, a profound disorientation, a sense of standing at the edge of a void. In that moment, we are tempted to see only destruction, to panic, to grasp at what is falling away, or to numb ourselves against the pain of disintegration. We mourn the collapse of the life we thought we were building. But here lies the paradox. What we often interpret as the end is, in truth, the beginning. The breakdown is not punishment, it is initiation. It is the psyche's way of calling us inward, of compelling us to abandon the external scaffolding we have clung to and turn toward the deeper foundations of the self. The real journey does not begin with success, nor with clarity, nor with certainty. It begins with the shattering of illusions. Only when the mask has fallen and the stage has burned down can we begin to ask the questions that matter. Who am I beneath the roles I play? What remains when all else is stripped away? Where does my true path lie? Not the one I inherited or was told to walk, but the one that speaks to my soul. This is no easy journey. It is not comfortable or linear. It takes us into darkness, confusion, and often silence. But this descent is sacred. In myth, the hero does not grow by avoiding the underworld. They are transformed by entering it. So too in our lives, when the ego cracks, the light of the deeper self begins to seep in. Our wounds become the entry points to inner knowledge. Our pain, though unwelcome, becomes the teacher we never asked for but deeply need. So if you find yourself in a place where all seems lost, where what once defined you has collapsed, do not despair. You are not broken, you are being broken open, and the real journey, the one that leads to authenticity and wholeness, often begins not with a confident stride forward, but with a fall into the unknown. That fall is sacred, that breakdown is the doorway, step through it. When the rational mind falters and the world no longer makes sense through logic alone, something quieter begins to stir beneath the surface of awareness. In the silence that follows confusion, we may begin to notice subtle patterns, strange coincidences, and moments that feel charged with meaning. Though we cannot explain why, these are not accidents, they are not random. They are the language of the universe, speaking not in words, but in symbols, dreams, and synchronicities. The universe, or rather the deeper structure of life, does not always communicate through direct instruction. It nudges us through intuition, reveals itself in archetypes, and moves us with events that defy statistical explanation. A book falls off a shelf at just the right time. A stranger says the one sentence you needed to hear. A song plays with lyrics that echo your unspoken thoughts. A dream delivers a truth you have long avoided. These are the gentle interventions of a deeper order, a cosmos that is not cold or indifferent, but alive with intelligence woven with meaning. Symbols and synchronicities are mirrors. They reflect what is stirring within our unconscious. When the inner world changes, the outer world begins to echo it. That is why certain images, patterns, or themes seem to follow us through life, not as curses or signs of doom, but as invitations to grow. A recurring animal, number, or name may be the psyche's way of pointing to something unresolved, something longing to be understood. These repetitions are not tricks of the mind, they are the footprints of the soul's journey, guiding us to where healing and integration must occur. To see these signs, we must shift our perception. We must stop demanding certainty and begin cultivating presence. The ordinary becomes sacred when viewed through this lens. The unconscious mind, like a deep sea, rises to meet the conscious mind in flashes. in metaphors, in meaningful chants, in sudden insight. Life ceases to be mechanical and becomes mythic. Not because the events themselves are extraordinary, but because our way of relating to them becomes more whole, more human, more alive. In moments of loss and confusion, these synchronicities often become more pronounced. Not because they are suddenly appearing, but because our defenses are lowered, our attention raw, our soul more open to being reached. The rational structures we once clung to have collapsed, and into that quiet space, the symbolic world begins to speak. If we listen, not with our ears, but with our entire being, we can begin to piece together a path that is both deeply personal and mysteriously universal. The universe is not silent. It is always speaking. But it speaks a language we must learn to hear, not with analysis, but with reverence. And when we do, we realize we are not lost, but being led, not randomly, but purposefully, not in chaos, but in a strange, unfolding harmony far deeper than anything we could have planned. There are parts of ourselves we are taught to hide. From early on, we learn which emotions are acceptable, which desires are permissible, which traits earn us love, and which provoke rejection. Slowly, often unconsciously, we begin to split. We present a version of ourselves that is polished, pleasing, and socially acceptable, while banishing the rest, the anger, the envy, the fear, the wildness, into the hidden corners of the psyche. This disowned part does not disappear. It becomes the shadow. The shadow is not evil, though it may frighten us. It is simply everything we have repressed, denied, or feared to acknowledge. And though it is exiled, it continues to live within us, influencing our behavior, our choices, and our relationships in ways we do not fully understand. The more we ignore it, the more power it gains. It shows up as projection, when we see in others what we cannot admit in ourselves. It erupts in moments of irrational rage, sabotage, addiction, or shame. But these eruptions are not signs of weakness. They are messages, warnings, invitations to look deeper, because hidden within the shadow is not only pain, but power, not only woundedness, but potential. The very parts of ourselves we've cast aside often contain the gold we are looking for, the creativity, authenticity, vitality, and intuition we have lost touch with. What was once deemed unacceptable may in fact be essential to our wholeness. The anger we deny may carry the fire of self-respect. The envy we suppress may reveal our deepest yearnings. The fear we conceal may point toward areas where we long to grow. The shadow, when faced with honesty and compassion, becomes a wellspring of renewal. Yet the journey into the shadow is not comfortable. It requires courage, not to destroy what we find there, but to integrate it. To recognize that we are not purely good or purely bad, but complex, paradoxical beings. To see the monster under the bed and realize it was a neglected child, waiting to be held. This is the work of inner alchemy, transforming lead into gold, not by pretending the lead isn't there, but by accepting it as raw material for transformation. In times of despair, the shadow often rises to the surface. It is in crisis, when the mask no longer fits, that we are most likely to meet it. And while this encounter may feel like chaos, it is actually a threshold. A call to wholeness, a chance to reclaim what we have long buried. The task is not to conquer the shadow, but to relate to it, to listen to it, to walk into its darkness with a lantern of awareness, and begin the sacred work of integration. For the soul does not seek perfection, it seeks completeness, and completeness cannot be achieved by light alone. The gold we are searching for is often hidden in the very places we have been taught to fear. To embrace the shadow is to come home to ourselves, not just the parts we show to the world, but the full, undivided truth of who we are. And in that return, we do not become someone else, we become whole. There is a deep longing in the human heart for certainty, for a clear direction, a map, a set of instructions to follow. Especially when life feels uncertain or we are brought low by grief or failure, we yearn for a signpost, for something that will point the way forward and assure us we are on the right path. But the truth, however unsettling, is that such a path does not exist, at least not ready, made. There is no predetermined route tailored to your soul, no one-size-fits-all answer to who you are meant to become. The path is not something waiting to be found. It is something that comes into existence only as you walk. This realization is both terrifying and liberating. Terrifying, because it means no one else can tell you with absolute certainty what to do. Not your teachers, not your parents, not even your past self. You must become your own cartographer, drawing the map as you go, guided not by fixed landmarks, but by the shifting stars of intuition, feeling, and inner truth. Liberating, because it means you are not bound by any external blueprint. You are not here to duplicate someone else's life. You are here to discover your own. The act of walking, of choosing, acting, moving forward even when you cannot see the whole picture, is what shapes the terrain. It is in the daily decisions, the quiet moments of trust, the risks you take without a guarantee, that the path begins to appear beneath your feet. Often, it only becomes visible in hindsight, like footprints forming behind you in the sand. You will not always know why you are being drawn in a certain direction. You may feel lost, uncertain, or even foolish. But somewhere deep within, a whisper remains, a call, a pull, a subtle knowing that you must keep going. This kind of journey asks for courage, not the loud, heroic kind, but the quiet, sustained bravery of staying true to something you cannot yet name. You may stumble, you may double back, you may walk in circles for a time. That is not failure, that is part of the path making, because what matters is not just where you end up, but who you become as you walk. Each step reshapes you. Each obstacle teaches you something essential. Each encounter, pleasant or painful, becomes part of the unfolding story. Comparison is a great thief here. Looking too long at the well-paved roads of others can cause you to question your own raw, winding trail. But theirs is not yours. Their instructions cannot replace your inner compass. You are not late. You are not behind. You are simply in the middle of becoming. There is a rhythm to your unfolding that no one else can dictate. And so, when the way is unclear and the voices around you grow quiet, do not wait for permission. Do not wait for clarity to fall like lightning from the sky. Begin where you are. Choose what feels alive. Follow what carries both fear and fascination. Listen to your restlessness as much as your longing. Trust that the act of walking itself, of living, trying, creating, failing, and rising again, is the sacred process by which your unique path reveals itself. The ground may not be firm, the trail may not be marked, but still, step by step, you make the way, and in that walking, you become more than a follower of roads, you become their maker. There is a quiet misconception that the aim of life is to become perfect, to refine ourselves until we are flawless, to correct every error, silence every doubt, polish away every imperfection until we fit some imagined ideal. But perfection is not the language of the soul. The universe does not demand our flawlessness. It longs for our wholeness, and wholeness is something altogether different. It is not about being without cracks, but about allowing the light to shine through them. It is not about rising above all that is messy or painful within us, but about embracing it, integrating it, until nothing within us is left unloved or unseen. The movement of life, if you listen closely, is always drawing you toward this kind of inner completeness. Not just toward happiness or success, though these may come, but toward a state in which nothing essential is denied, where your joy and your sorrow, your strength and your vulnerability, your wisdom and your confusion all have a place. The universe, in its quiet wisdom, does not ask you to amputate the parts of yourself that feel inconvenient or unlovable. It asks you to turn toward them, to meet them, to welcome them back into the house of your being. Wholeness means you are not split against yourself. It means you stop trying to become someone else and instead learn to fully inhabit who you already are. This is not a passive acceptance of your limits. It is an act of radical integration. It is the realization that your wounds have shaped your compassion, that your mistakes have taught you humility, that your darkness has deepened your capacity for light. The parts of you that you once hid in shame may hold the very medicine the world needs. And just as the day is not complete without the night, your journey cannot be complete without every chapter, even the ones you wish you could skip. The The broken places in your life are not detours from the plan, they are part of it. The losses, the failures, the long seasons of confusion, these are not signs that you are off course. They are part of the great unfolding, the slow alchemy that turns experience into wisdom and wounds into gold. This is not the work of a single moment. It is a lifelong unfolding. There will be times when you feel lost again, split again, exiled from yourself. But even in these moments, something deeper is at work. The soul has a gravitational pull toward wholeness, like a seed that knows how to reach the light, like a river that knows how to find the sea. There is something in you that knows how to return to yourself. When all feels lost, when the future is unclear, remember this: you are not being punished, you are being shaped, not into someone more acceptable, but into someone more complete. The universe is not trying to erase who you are. It is trying to help you remember it. And what it wants for you is not perfection, not certainty, not constant success. What it wants is for you to become whole, to stand in the truth of all that you are, and to live from that undivided place. Wholeness is the quiet, powerful plan written into the very fabric of your being, and even when you forget, it does not. It will continue calling you home, again and again, until you answer,